Hey, it's John from Tinderbox Arts. So I'm doing some maintenance on my R1200RT. This is a 2012 model. And the final drive fluid I'm about to change, but I'm here anyway, and I want to displace the rear caliper, the brake caliper, anyway, so I can drop the final drive and lubricate the spline. I had another video on how I did that. While I'm here, when I bought this bike, it had some rope or twine, or it was really rope, I guess, wrapped around the disc caliper in here, and I don't think it was creating a situation where the brake pads were wearing unevenly. They weren't worn down or anything, but I decided, next time I'm in here, I'm going to replace the disc pads. So I've decided to go with these, which get good reviews. It's the FA363HH, made by ABC. And even though the old pads aren't totally shot, they are getting a little bit worn, and because of the uneven wear, I just feel better. It's like $30 to buy these pads, actually less than that even. So it's so cheap that I figured, let me just throw those on here while I'm here doing other stuff anyway. So I'm going to do that while I'm dropping the rest of this stuff. So this right here is the disc. You can see, if I get the light right, you can see the pads in here. This is the edge of the pads, and these little lines right here are wear indicators. So if you have no lines showing, that means that you're pretty well done. You need new pads. So I do have lines showing. I think there's 3 lines total, and I have 2 left. But that pad is not the one that wore. This pad wore more than this one. And even though this one starts out thinner, I'm just, like I said, I'm here anyway. I'd rather do it. Now, let me bring this around. I'm told through the manual, and I can't really see, but there's a hole right here. And if the pad is totally gone, you should be able to see right through. It's another wear indicator. You should be able to see right through to the disc. Now, I can't see through to the disc, or at least I don't think I can. But nonetheless, like I said, for $30, and I'm here anyway, I'm just going to replace it, and I'll feel better about it. It's kind of a pain in the ass to film this, so some of this I'll just have to show you in advance before I do it. So to get this caliper off, there's a T45 Torx here and here. I'll just loosen those, take those out, then I can pull the caliper off. Alright, up top here I've tied off with some wire and a rag so I don't scratch the bodywork. So I've tied the caliper off so it'll just hold it in place for me. You don't want to put a big strain on the hydraulic line here. And I did loosen, let me bring that around. I did loosen, where am I? Over here there's a little, somewhere around here, right here is a little nut, a bolt I should say, to hold that plastic on there. I did loosen or remove that. So getting back to the caliper here, you can see this has gotten down pretty low actually on this side. Now to remove, there's a pin right here, a clip I'll call it, which I want to remove, and then there's this pin that goes through holes in the caliper base, in the pad base I should say. So what I want to do is remove that clip, and then I can use a drift and a hammer if need be to pop that pin out this way, and that will relieve, it'll remove the pin so I can get to those pads. Alright, I don't know how much of this is getting on camera, and I gotta be careful here, but I'll take this pin out. Alright, so it's just a clip. Check if that's on camera. There, now it's on camera. It's just a clip there I took out with needle nose pliers. Put that away somewhere safe. And then this pin, I'm probably going to have to drive out. Let's just see if this drift will work. Yeah, I'm going to smack it a little bit with the hammer if I can grab it. And that's starting, I don't know if you can see that on camera, but it's starting to move. So I'm taking it that direction. And I want to take this all apart so I can clean it well too, because that brake dust does a number. So I'll just, there, just got it. Alright, so that, I'm going to drop everything here. There's the pin, which I'll clean up and probably wire brush, make sure that's nice and smooth. Put that aside. And then these pads just come out easily. So there's still life left on those pads. It's not an emergency by any stretch. I probably have, this one is definitely worse. And I mean, this one might wear normally more than this one anyway, but I think it was because I had that rope wrapped around there that it wasn't working correctly. So I'm going to get rid of these. Now, pick up this camera here. So what I want to do is clean out that whole area here. In this back section, I do see a little bit of rust there. There's like a, right here, oh, too close. Right here is a place where the pads ride, you know, in a groove there. And I just want to make sure all that's cleaned out. And of course I need to compress these pistons in so that I can fit the new pads, which are going to be thicker. Alright, so check it out. This clip came out of right here, right? So I just took it out so I could clean it. And it kind of holds the pads in place. But notice there's an arrow there. That arrow points towards the front of the bike. And actually it's kind of weird because if you look at this, it looks symmetrical to me. So I'm not 100% sure why they put that arrow there, because I swear that is symmetrical. I don't know. Anyway, that arrow is supposed to point towards the front for whatever it's worth. I guess, yeah, you know what, now that I look at it, it's not symmetrical. This back part here is just slightly different than the front. So that arrow points front, so when you put it back, make sure you do that. I wire brushed this, and then I sprayed some silicone on it, which dries and won't hurt the brakes. It may help prevent against corrosion. There's a clip in the back too, which comes out from under there. It's a pain to get out a little bit, but with needle nose pliers you can grab it and get it out. This is after I wire wheel brushed it, and it's a little bit worn, but nothing awful. So again, I'll just spray this with silicone and put it back in. I just want to make sure everything's nice and clean. Unlike in a car, these pistons easily get compressed back in. I just used some needle nose pliers, stuck them in there, and unsqueezed them, if you will, and they pop right in. So very easy to do. Just wanted to give you a close-up of this pin here. So you see that little hole there, that's where that clip goes into. So this pin holds the brake pads in place, and this clip goes through that hole when it's installed and holds the pin from popping out. So I should mention this pin has a little sleeve right here which compresses once it gets into that hole. And I'm just trying to hold everything together here and tap it. Just trying to show this on camera. I'll just tap this into place. Alright, and then just a little bit more. So I got to tap that. The camera's kind of in my way, so I'll just tap that, probably one more tap, and then I can stick this pin in. But I got to make sure that hole, clip I should say, that hole in the pin aligns so I can get that clip in. Okay, I just needed one more tap. So get this thing situated. It's kind of a pain to get in, but there it goes. So make sure that's seated well. Good. And that's it. So basically you just got to make sure you have opened up your caliper pistons enough so that this will now go over the disc itself, and you're good to go. Now when you first apply the brakes, this is going to squeeze together, and you got to make sure you do that first before you're out on the road expecting to stop. So you do that first, and there will be a little bit of wear in here. Now some people like to put like a copper grease on the back of the pads, and they also make another thing called a disc quiet, which is it's basically a kind of silicone that you can put on the back of the pads. You know, you can do that if you like. I didn't this time. I'll see how it goes. But if I get squeaks, or squeals when I stop, you can put that on there and that'll stop that. But for right now, I think we're in good shape. I'll do the final drive oil, and then when I put this back together, we'll just test it, make sure we're good to go. A couple of last details. If you're at all concerned about the thickness of the rotor, I think it's supposed to be 5 millimeters. When it's new, and once it gets to 4.5 millimeters, then it's getting too thin. So if you're at all concerned about that, if you've had several brake jobs, for example, you may want to check that with a micrometer to make sure that's still thick enough. And I also will just mention over here, it's really easily, here's the ABS sensor, and it's real easy to miss these clips here. Let's get that better shot. Miss these clips here, and just make sure those are clipped in right. And make sure everything is buttoned up well. Then the caliper's loose on there. I just got back over here the 2 bolts to put back in there, and I can put the wheel back on and I'm ready to go.